Hey guys, Ryan here for Bender Wins. Hope everyone's doing well today. We're here with today's daily free pick. So yesterday we finished 1-2. That missed extra point cost us a push, but what it is, what it is. You know, I would say look at yesterday if we're going to talk about good luck and bad luck. I mean, everyone always focuses on how unlucky they get and you know, I read the most amazing stuff like, that people think Vegas is out to get them. Like Vegas is literally like focused on them and destroying their universe, right? But the reality is that's human nature. We focus on the bad luck and, we kind of quickly dismiss the good luck we have. And, it's why I think we encounter so many people who are just pessimistic, right? I mean, this is definitely a venture that you have to be optimistic in, guys. If you go in with a pessimistic attitude, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to lose or I'm going to get unlucky," or pardon me, or Vegas and the entire world is conspiring against you, you're not going to win long term because it's going to affect your decision making. So we can look at yesterday, like I said, we miss extra point, we would have pushed on one of our bets. You know, one team covers with 5 minutes to go in the game. We were kind of leading all game, and then they cover with 5 minutes. But a lot of people, they would dwell on that, but they wouldn't dwell on the fact that to cover the other game, we got a cover in the New England game. We won that game. We had to get 2 defensive scores. That's lucky. But a lot of people would dwell on the fact that they got unlucky to lose those other ones. We're not those other people, though, guys. You know what? We learned from it, because you always want to learn from your losses. You review your bets, make sure that you were on the right side. Just make sure of that. Make sure that Vegas didn't get you in a trap. And this is how you learn, guys. This is how you grow by not just like putting the bets behind you, but going back and looking at not only the wins but the losses and think like, was I on the right side when everything was said and done? Did I bet against the public when the final numbers came in? Is this the result that as I saw it, or did I get lucky to win, and if it wasn't for this one play I would have lost, then was I still on the right side? So these are things you want to ask yourselves, guys, and then you start to notice, you start to see almost, I don't want to call it patterns, because I mean it sounds very like Rain Man-ish, like you're going to find patterns in numbers and stuff like that, but you start to recognize certain trends and certain things where I would say that 15 years ago, some of the games I would look at and be like, oh, I love this game. And now I can like quickly look at it and be like, oh no, I'm on the other side. Old me 15 years ago, I would have jumped on that with the public. But now, right away, I'm attracted to the other side of that. And I kind of look at a contrarian standpoint. So again, guys, it's important to focus on that. But after you're done with that, you put it behind you. Okay? So you don't dwell on it. You put it behind you. Today is completely independent from yesterday and the day before and the day before that. I guarantee you, if you do this long enough, guys, you're going to have long losing streaks. You're going to go on losing streaks of 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, longer. Believe me. By day 5, 6, 7, you're questioning, are you good at this? It actually doesn't even matter. Like if you were to hit like, I don't know, 57% for an entire year, and you go on a 6-day losing streak, you start questioning yourself. And that's why, you guys, you have to stay optimistic. You have to have faith in what you're doing, that you're doing is the right thing. But that's just the reality of sports betting, guys. We're gonna have days where or weeks, I should say, where they're bad weeks, but we're going to have the good weeks as well. We're going to have those weeks where we win, 4, 5, 6 in a row, 7 in a row or more. So again, guys, you don't want to get too high when you're on a winning streak, and you don't want to get too low when you're on a losing streak. And you want to make sure that each day is independent from the last, because if you don't, you're going to deviate from the bankroll management. Basically, I mean, you see it all the time, guys. I'm just going to give a quick example. I'll get into the pick. But you see it, what I mean by deviate is when people have won 6 days in a row, they have a tendency to prematurely pump up their units. They get that feeling like, you know what, I can't lose, I can't stop picking. And people say, play the rush, play this, whatever. It's all, guys, one result is completely independent from another result, okay? It's like flipping heads or tails on a coin. Obviously, we want to play with a bit of an advantage, not just heads or tails, but I'm giving that as an example. If you flipped heads 15 times in a row, it does not mean that it's not 50-50 on the next spin, on the next flip. Okay, it would be 50-50 on the next flip just because you've done that. So each result's independent. So believing that, because you've hit 15 winners in a row, that you're going to win your 16th, guys, if you're going through the same strategy, you should have the same odds of hitting a pro. I mean, every game's got a different advantage. Like some games we have large advantages. Other games it's just a small margin. We're dealing with a 3% margin. Maybe we have an expected win of 52.9%, right? So I mean, we're looking at a 0.5% margin. Other games, we're expecting to hit 63%. And we're dealing with a huge margin. 11-12% margin if you're playing reduced juice. So anyways, guys, don't get too high when you're up, and same thing, don't get too low when you're down. And when you're down, two things are going to happen. One thing that happens a lot with people if they don't practice good bankroll management is they kind of shut down. They stop. I mean, they basically say, okay, I don't feel comfortable anymore. They go from betting 200 a game down to betting 25 or 50 a game, which really, I mean, if your bankroll starts to reduce, you do want to reduce your bet size, but not pull back that much. You always want to keep it in that percentile range, that 1 to 5%, depending on what type of bettor you are. So, if your bankroll drops 10%, just lower your unit size 10%. So if you're betting 200, right, drop it down 10%. Bet 180 until it gets back to that point. That's pardon me, that's the lesser of two evils. The worst of it is, and what a lot of people do, they go on these losing streaks and they do the exact opposite. They have this feeling that, well, I can't lose forever. I'll pump my bets up. And that's the most dangerous thing you can do, guys. Like literally the most dangerous thing you can do. And you see that unfortunately more times than not. That's, you have people exercise unbelievable bankroll management skills, like they're spot on, and then they have like a nightmare losing streak, and the bankroll goes right out the window, like right out the window. And I'm sure, honestly, guys, if you ask yourself, have you ever done that? I'm sure a lot of you have. And I did when I was younger. There's no question. Like years ago, guys, before I, really, really dove into this, like my bankroll management was absolutely atrocious, like atrocious. And that's why I've been there. I've been in that. Like I can speak from experience about how many times I blew up my bankroll. I mean, half the time I wouldn't even call it a bankroll because I'd be depositing, I put in a couple $100. This is when I'm, in my late teens, early 20s, I put a couple $100 or, kind of, I get my paycheck and call my bookie up and I got a paycheck for $500. I said, okay, you know what? I got a $100 budget I can bet with. I bet 2 games of $50 and I lost them both. That was it for the week, right? I couldn't bet. And I'd be like, oh, I like this game. That would win. I'd like that game. Oh, that would win. But I wasn't in the game because I blew up, my bankroll. And I would never bet money that I couldn't afford. I'll say that much. But anyways, guys, that's it. It is really important though, we're coming off back-to-back losses. We lost on Saturday in college, lost yesterday. So, again, we're going to look to turn around today, but the weekend has zero influence on the way I'm going to bet today, the way I put my picks in, guys. It's business as usual, okay? There we are. So let's get into it, guys, today. So we just have the one play today. I was looking at a baseball game for you guys earlier, but we didn't get a great draw on the umpire. And so I think I was gonna originally that was kind of like a front runner. I'll throw it out there. I'll tell you what I was gonna play, guys, because there has been some steam plays and there's a reverse line move. The play I was gonna give you guys was the Boston Tampa Bay game under 8.5. I'll be honest, like I don't like the umpire draw. Like he's not really an over umpire, but he's definitely not an under umpire. Like unders only come in 49.8 or 49.7% of the time. So he's pretty much 50-50. Again, not a whole lot bet on the under. There's only 50-50. Pardon me. Sorry, there's only 22% of the bets on the under in this game, which I like that aspect of it. But there's only 11% of money. So that to me was kind of, I wanted to, I guess, stay away a little bit from that game. So at the end of the day, guys, I bet on that game, but I put like a quarter unit. So, I mean, for me, it's like a tiny bet, like a quarter of 1% of my bankroll. Because as I told you guys, I bet 1% of my bankroll. So, I mean, if you guys wanted to put something down on that, small, but I like the under in that game, under 8.5, but I didn't like the umpire draw, and I don't really like the distribution of money. Like, we're betting against the public, but I think we're betting against a few sharps here and there, even though there's some steam plays in reverse on the under. But anyways, all right, guys, I'm going to get into the actual pick. So the pick is in the football game. So we have a couple models that kind of line up and work well in this football game. Basically, I have one of the models that I have comes in at 57%, and it has to deal with the environment in which the game is being played in. So what I mean by that is basically if we have in this situation, we have a low wind, under 10 miles an hour, and it looks like it's going to be optimal conditions in the game. And optimal conditions for being able to play good football and score points. So we're going to be taking the over in this game. With this model, the over comes in at 57% of the time. When you focus that and narrow that field down just on Monday night games when you have this environment, bumps it up over 60%, but it's too small a sample size to kind of go with that. So the other thing that I like about this game from the number standpoint is right now the money split pretty much right down the middle, 50-50. Like it is down the middle. Like it's 50% on the over, 50% on the under. But 64% of the bets have come in on the under. So that means that typically that's more of the public betting on the under in this game, where we've had some sharps that have come in and put less bets but larger amounts of money on the over in this game. The other thing from an actual just straight handicapping standpoint, because I don't get into that all the time and talk about it, but I think Washington will be able to get something going. I mean, Chicago's defense is solid, but I think Washington's going to be able to get something going at home. I don't think they're going to put up a ton of points, but I think they'll be able to get something going. And on the flip side of it, Chicago, I think I'm going to look for Chicago to get their run going really early in this game, which, we want aerial strikes back and forth if we're taking the over. But I think they get the run established early in this game. And I think Washington will too. I think they're both going to try and establish a run. And later on in the game, for Chicago especially, that's going to lead to a lot of play action opportunities. And I don't know that Washington's defense can make that adjustment against Chicago. So Chicago hasn't put up a ton of points, as you noticed in their first game. But they have been playing against pretty decent defenses. I think that if Chicago develops their run early, Washington isn't going to be able to make that adjustment when Chicago adjusts and starts doing some play action. So I like Chicago to put up a fair amount of points in this game. I like Washington to get some points in this game. I think the key to Washington also is getting their run going. So far, they've been passing almost 3-1, and that's easy to defend. Okay, and I think against a good defense like Chicago, they're going to look at this and they're going to make that adjustment and try and establish the run a little bit more. But that's going to lead to more points down the road, guys. So anyways, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And so we're taking over 41. We got over 41 Chicago, Washington, guys. And as always, have a very lucky day.